Andrew Neil has done a very interesting piece with Piers Morgan in which he's questioned the rush of people to dissociate themselves from Russell Brand and then says, why were they ever associated with him in the first place? And he says that Russell Brand is neither funny nor consistently good, but consistently vulgar, rude and unwatchable. And he asks why the BBC, Channel 4, The Guardian, the News State, the Labour Party ever wanted to be associated with essentially this sleaze bag in the first place. He doesn't understand why the UK elevates people of no talent, people of no redeeming value whatsoever, to the status of national icons. And he's thinking specifically, or at least he names specifically, Jimmy Savile. I give you Jimmy Savile, the classic example of that. A man of no talent who had a hotline to Mrs. Thatcher and the royal family, and in a different way. I'm not comparing the two in terms of what they did. In a different way, we elevated Russell Brand to be this man that seems to have the pulse of young people in British society, whose every word we should hang on, and was worthy of interviews on BBC's Newsnight or Guardian conferences. Well, I hasten to add, in contrast to Andrew Neil, I think it's perfectly true that Russell Brand was or is an intelligent man. But his public act was gruesome, and the stories which have come out about him are gruesome. Andrew Neil goes on, it's just nonsense, and this power of celebrity, which seems to have the ability to make sensible people stupid, this is another classic example of it, and it is corrosive to our culture. He is absolutely right. As for the trial by media, the media is only doing, he says, what it is supposed to do, that is holding people to account. And if, for example, the opposition is not strong enough to hold the government to account, then it has to be the media that does it. But at the moment, the media is toadying to government demands, and the opposition is not strong enough to take on the government. And the government is full of a cabinet of twits. It is a drinks cabinet in all but name. It's not about Matt Hancock locking himself in the stationery cupboard. It's about almost the entire cabinet sloshing away, quiffing the sherry, if not literally, then metaphorically, because they can barely get a coherent sentence out among them. All they're capable of doing is spouting slogans and saying they agree with Rishi Sunak. Of course they agree with Rishi Sunak. It's called collective responsibility. I'm simply staggered by the spectacle of public life in the UK at the moment. I'm shocked by it, and I'm shocked by the way it's developed. I think it's encapsulated by the inability of people to apologize when they get things wrong. I'll talk about this a little bit later, but I've been bewitched by the story of the lady in the Medway Hospital who was forced to ring 999 because the heart monitor she was plugged into went haywire 4 times while she was plugged up, and nobody came round to check her. And she was frightened, with very good reason, and yet she received a scrappy apology from the head of the Medway Hospitals, and it's not an apology at all, as far as I know. I'd like to know, actually, has she actually received a letter or had a meeting with this person who claimed to apologize that we haven't met the highest standards we set? Well, these aren't high standards, and you haven't met them. So why is that sentence even in the apology? You can't apologize and at the same time advertise your wares. It's one thing or the other. An apology is about recognizing you got it wrong. An advertisement is about what you can get right. The two things are different. And I'm afraid banks, telephone operators, schools, all get this wrong and they don't recognize the difference, and they think they can hide behind some sort of advertising gloss while trying to put out an apology. It doesn't work. What it means is that you are deceitful and you can't be trusted to do even the smallest thing. And I'm afraid our government has got into the same into the same level of wordplay. I'm surprised that that when Ava was approached by the Medway Hospital authorities, they didn't then go on to say we want to learn from this experience. We will learn. They're not going to learn.